Commander Kang Do-hyun stood before the Galactic Council with his hands clasped behind his back. His face showed nothing, not anger, not fear, not even boredom. He had learned long ago that showing emotion to politicians was like showing blood to sharks. The council chamber was massive. 12 species sat in floating seats that circled the room like a crown. Humans occupied only 3 of those seats. They were still newcomers to galactic politics, still proving themselves. And Do-hyun had just made their job much harder. "Commander Kang," the head counselor said. He was a Valorian, tall and thin with silver skin that reflected the light. "You insulted Admiral Gorath of the Coalition fleet. You called him, and I quote, a coward who hides behind treaties while his soldiers die." "I did," Do-hyun said simply. "In front of 40 delegates. They needed to hear it. You nearly destroyed the peace negotiations." Do-hyun finally allowed a small smile. "Nearly. But I didn't. The treaty was signed. The war is over. You're welcome." The council did not appreciate his humor. For 3 hours, they discussed his punishment. Some wanted him stripped of rank. Others wanted him imprisoned. A few even suggested exile to the outer colonies where the air was thin and hope was thinner. In the end, they chose something worse. "You will marry Lady Yoon Nari of House Yoon," the head counselor announced. "This union will strengthen the bond between Terra and the Valorian human hybrid houses. It will show the galaxy that humanity values diplomacy over war." Do-hyun's smile disappeared. He knew that name. Everyone knew that name. The Cursed Daughter. Lady Yoon Nari had been engaged 3 times. All 3 of her suitors were dead. The first had fallen from a balcony. The second had been found floating in space, his ship mysteriously disabled. The third had simply vanished, leaving behind only a recording of his own screaming. Rumors followed her like shadows. They said she could kill with a touch. They said she spoke to the darkness between stars. They said her eyes could drive men mad. Do-hyun had faced alien warriors twice his size. He had flown burning ships through asteroid fields. He had watched friends die and kept fighting. But even he felt a cold twist in his stomach at the thought of this marriage. Still, he did not argue. He simply nodded once and said, "When do I leave?" The journey to Saren took 3 weeks. The ocean moon orbited a gas giant so large it filled half the sky. The Yoon estate sat on a cliff above silver waters that stretched to every horizon. It was beautiful in a cold, lonely way. Do-hyun arrived at sunset. Servants led him through halls of white stone and blue glass. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. He saw no family members, no guests, no signs of life beyond the silent workers who kept their eyes down. They brought him to a garden at the heart of the estate. Real plants grew here, imported from a dozen worlds. A small pond reflected the orange sky. And standing beside that pond was a woman. She was tall, almost as tall as Do-hyun himself. Her hair was black but streaked with silver, though she could not have been older than 30. Her skin was pale, almost white, like the Valorians but softer somehow. More human. And her eyes. Her eyes shifted as she turned to look at him. One moment they were deep violet. The next they were black, black like the space between stars, black like the void itself. Do-hyun felt his breath catch, not from fear. She was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. "Commander Kang," she said. Her voice was low and quiet, like distant thunder. "I am Yoon Nari. I suppose you have heard the stories." "I have." "Then you know what they call me?" "I do." She studied him for a long moment. Her face was like a mask, perfectly controlled, perfectly empty. Do-hyun recognized that look. He wore it himself most days. "You do not have to pretend," she said finally. "I know why you are here. I know this is a punishment for you. We can keep separate quarters. I will not bother you. In a year, Perhaps, too, you can petition for an annulment. Your career does not have to end because of me." She turned back to the pond. Her shoulders were stiff. She expected him to agree. She expected him to run, like all the others had tried to run before they died. Do-hyun walked closer. He stopped beside her, looking out at the same silver water. "What if I don't want separate quarters?" he asked. She turned sharply. For just a moment, her mask cracked. He saw surprise underneath, real surprise. "What?" "They told me you were cursed," Do-hyun said. "They told me you were dangerous. They told me I should be afraid." He looked at her directly, meeting those impossible eyes without flinching. "But I have spent my whole life surrounded by loud people. Politicians who never stop talking. Officers who think leadership means shouting. I am tired of noise." He paused. Something that might have been a smile touched his lips. "You are quiet. You are mysterious. You have eyes like the void itself." He shrugged. "Maybe I like that. Maybe you are exactly what I was looking for." Nari stared at him. For several seconds she could not speak. "You are either very brave," she finally said, "or very stupid." "Both, probably," Do-hyun admitted. "But I mean what I say. I am not here to use you. I am not here to fear you. I am here because the universe put us in the same place, and I would like to see what happens next." Nari looked at him for a long time. The sunset painted everything in shades of gold and red. The silver water rippled in a breeze that carried the smell of salt and alien flowers. "Very well, Commander," she said at last. "Let us see what happens next." She did not smile, but something in her eyes softened, just a little. It was enough. The first month passed slowly. Do-hyun learned the shape of his new life. He woke early, trained with the estate guards, and spent his afternoons reading reports from his former fleet. The Terran Navy had not forgotten him. They sent updates, asked for his advice, reminded him that his desk was waiting whenever he wanted to return. He ignored most of it. He was more interested in his wife. Nari was a ghost in her own home. She appeared at meals, sat in silence, and vanished again before the plates were cleared. She walked the gardens at night when she thought no one was watching. She spent hours in a sealed room at the top of the eastern tower, doing something that made the lights flicker throughout the entire estate. Do-hyun watched. He listened. He asked careful questions to the servants, who answered carefully in return. They were loyal to Nari, he realized. They feared her, yes, but they also protected her. That told him something important. Monsters do not inspire loyalty. After 6 weeks, he began his real investigation. The first suitor had been a man named Go Pilsu. He was a trade merchant from the inner colonies, rich but common. The Yoon family had not approved of the match, but Nari had been young and her father had been soft. The engagement lasted 4 months. Then Pilsu fell from a balcony during a party. The official report called it an accident. Too much wine, a dark night, a railing that was perhaps too low. Do-hyun found a different story. Pilsu had been trying to sell information about Nari to a weapons corporation. He had secretly recorded her abilities and sent samples of her genetic material to their labs. On the night of his death, he had been meeting with a corporate spy on that balcony. The spy had pushed him over the edge when the deal went wrong. The second suitor was a military officer named Shin Woo-jin. He came from a powerful family with connections to the Galactic Council. The engagement was political, designed to increase House Yoon's influence. It lasted 8 months. Then Woo-jin's ship exploded on a routine flight between moons. The investigation blamed a fuel leak. Equipment failure. Bad luck. Do-hyun found records that Woo-jin had been working with a faction that wanted to use Nari as a living weapon. He had planned to kidnap her during their honeymoon and deliver her to a secret military facility. Someone had discovered the plot. Someone had sabotaged his ship. The third suitor was the hardest to trace. His name was Cha Dong-min, a scholar from the outer universities. He seemed kind. He seemed gentle. He seemed genuinely interested in Nari as a person, not as a tool. Then he vanished, leaving behind only a recording of screaming. Do-hyun spent 3 weeks tracking down the truth. He called in favors from intelligence contacts. He accessed sealed files that should have been impossible to reach. He followed a trail of lies and half-truths until he finally understood. Dong-min had not been kind. He had been patient. He worked for an alien faction that wanted to study void-touched genetics. His gentleness had been an act, designed to lower Nari's guard. When she finally discovered the truth, she had defended herself. She had not killed him. But she had shown him what the void really looked like. His mind had broken. The recording was not of murder. It was of madness. Do-hyun found Nari in the garden that night. She stood beside the pond, her face turned up to the 3 moons that hung over Saren like watching eyes. She did not seem surprised when he approached. "You have been investigating me," she said. It was not a question. "Yes." "And what did you find?" Do-hyun stood beside her. The moonlight made her silver-streaked hair glow like starlight. "I found that your suitors were not victims," he said. "They were predators. They wanted to use you, sell you, or break you, and they paid the price for their own greed." Nari was silent for a long moment. "Does that frighten you?" she finally asked. "Knowing what I can do?" "Knowing what I did to Dong-min?" "I have killed 37 people in combat," Do-hyun said calmly. "I have ordered strikes that destroyed enemy ships with hundreds of crew aboard. I have made decisions that ended lives, and I have lived with those decisions every day since." He turned to face her. "You defended yourself against men who wanted to hurt you. You showed mercy when you could have shown death. That does not frighten me. That tells me you are stronger than anyone knows." Nari's mask finally cracked. He saw fear in her eyes, real fear, but also something else. Hope. Desperate, fragile hope. "You are strange, Commander," she whispered. "Do-hyun," he corrected. "My name is Do-hyun. And yes, I am strange. I am drawn to silence instead of noise. I prefer mystery over simplicity. When people tell me something is dangerous, I want to understand it, not run from it." He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. She did not move. His hand touched hers, and her skin was cool, like touching water at night. "I think you are incredible," he said. "I think your abilities are amazing. I think you have been alone for too long, surrounded by people who only see a weapon or a monster." Nari's breath caught. "I am not here to use you," Do-hyun continued. "I am here because I want to know you, the real you, not the curse, not the stories, just Nari." She looked at him with those shifting eyes, and for the first time he saw tears forming there. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you want that?" "Because everyone deserves to be seen," he said simply. "Even the ones the galaxy calls cursed." Nari did not have words, so she simply held his hand. Standing together in the moonlight, 2 lonely people who had finally found something worth holding on to. But far away, in the gleaming halls of the Galactic Council, Admiral Baek Sun-woo was making plans. He had not forgotten his humiliation. He had not forgiven, and he knew exactly how to use the cursed daughter of House Yoon to get his revenge. The storm was coming. The first assassin came on a Tuesday. Do-hyun was walking through the eastern corridor when he felt the air change. It was a soldier's instinct, developed over years of combat. Something was wrong. Something was close. He dropped to the floor just as a plasma bolt burned through the space where his head had been. The assassin was good. He wore light-bending armor that made him almost invisible. He moved fast and silent, already firing a second shot before Do-hyun could stand. But Do-hyun was better. He rolled behind a pillar, grabbed a decorative vase, and threw it high. The assassin's eyes followed the movement for half a second. That was enough. Do-hyun crossed the distance in 3 steps, caught the man's weapon arm, and broke it at the elbow. The assassin screamed. Do-hyun silenced him with a strike to the throat. The estate guards arrived too late. They found Do-hyun standing over an unconscious body, breathing hard, but unhurt. "Take him to the holding cells," Do-hyun ordered. "I want to know who sent him." The assassin died before he could talk. Poison hidden in a tooth. Professional work. The second attempt came 5 days later. This time there were 3 of them, and they came for Nari. She was in her tower room, the sealed chamber where she practiced her abilities. The assassins cut through the wall with molecular blades, expecting to find a frightened woman alone. They found Do-hyun instead. He had started sleeping outside her door after the first attack. He heard the cutting sound, grabbed his weapon, and met them as they entered. The fight was brutal and fast. Do-hyun took a blade across his ribs and a burn on his shoulder. But when it was over, 2 assassins were dead, and the third was running. The third one did not get far. Nari appeared in the hallway, her eyes blazing black, and the shadows themselves seemed to reach out and grab him. He collapsed, unconscious but alive. "You are hurt," Nari said, looking at Do-hyun's wounds. "I've had worse. You could have been killed. So could you." She stared at him. Something moved in her expression, something she usually kept hidden. "Why did you sleep outside my door?" she asked. "Because someone is trying to kill you, and I will not let that happen. We barely know each other. This marriage was forced on both of us. Why would you risk your life for me?" Do-hyun winced as he pressed a hand to his bleeding side. "Because I made a promise. When I stood in that garden and said I wanted to know you, I meant it. I protect what matters to me, and you matter." Nari did not cry. She had forgotten how. But she felt something crack inside her, some wall she had built long ago to keep everyone out. "Let me see your wounds," she said quietly. "I cannot heal, but I know medicine." She led him to her room and cleaned his injuries with careful hands. Her touch was gentle. Her face was focused. Do-hyun watched her work and felt something growing in his chest, something warm and dangerous. "I've started investigating who might be behind these attacks," he said. "The assassins were professionals, expensive. Someone with power and money wants us dead. I have many enemies. So do I. But this feels personal." He paused. "I think it's Admiral Baek Sunwoo, the man I insulted at the council. He has the resources and the motive." Nari's hand stopped moving. "I know that name. He approached my family years ago. He wanted to use my abilities for a military project. Something about collapsing jump gates." "What?" "He wanted to destroy the gate network in enemy territory, strand billions of people in the void. My father refused. Baek was furious." Do-hyun felt cold. If he destroys the jump gates, it would not just kill enemies. It would kill civilians, children, entire civilizations. "I know. That is why my father said no. And now he wants you to do it anyway. Or he wants me dead so no one can stop him from finding another way." The third attack came 2 weeks later. This time, they were ready. Do-hyun had called in favors from his old fleet. A brilliant engineer named Park Ji-yeon arrived with scanning equipment that could detect light-bending armor. A former intelligence officer named Bae Junho brought information about Baek's secret allies, and an old soldier named Moon Ki-seok came simply because Do-hyun had saved his life twice and he wanted to return the favor. They caught the third wave of assassins before they even reached the estate. 10 mercenaries, heavily armed, approaching by sea. Do-hyun's team hit them hard and fast. 8 died. 2 were captured. This time, they talked before the poison could take them. "Baek has a fleet," one gasped through broken teeth. 40 ships, hidden in the outer system. He's coming for the void touched. He's going to take her or burn this moon to ash. When? Do-hyun demanded. Soon. Days. Maybe less. Do-hyun looked at Nari. She stood in the shadows, her eyes shifting through colors like a dying star. We need to run, Ji-yeon said. We cannot fight 40 ships. If we run, he follows, Do-hyun replied. He will never stop. Not until he has what he wants. Then what do we do? Do-hyun was quiet for a moment. Then slowly a smile spread across his face. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of a man who had won battles that should have been impossible. We don't run, he said. We make him think he's already won. And then we tear his fleet apart from the inside. He turned to Nari. I will need your help. Your real help. Everything you can do. She met his eyes. For the first time, she did not look afraid of her own power. Then you will have it, she said. All of it. Do-hyun stepped closer. They stood face to face, commander and void touched, husband and wife. Whatever happens, he said softly, I need you to know something. This marriage may have started as punishment, but it has become the best thing that ever happened to me. Nari's breath caught. Her eyes shimmered. You really are a strange man, Kang Do-hyun. And you really are exactly my type, Yoon Nari. He kissed her. She kissed him back. And in that moment, surrounded by danger and darkness, they found something worth fighting for. The storm was here. But they would face it together. The sky burned when Admiral Bayek's fleet arrived. 40 warships dropped out of jump space above Saren, filling the horizon with metal and fire. They hung there like angry gods, their weapons pointed down at the ocean moon below. The message they sent was simple: surrender or die. Do-hyun stood on the balcony of the estate, watching the fleet through a tactical display. Beside him, Nari was calm. Too calm. He could feel the power building inside her like pressure before a storm. They are hailing us, Ji-yeon reported from the command center they had built in the estate's lower levels. Put it through. Admiral Bayek's face appeared on the screen. He was a handsome man with silver hair and cold eyes. His smile was the smile of someone who had already won. Commander Kang, Beck said, I must say, I did not expect you to be here. I thought you would have run by now. I don't run. No, you don't. That's what makes this so satisfying. Beck leaned forward. You humiliated me in front of the entire galaxy. You made me look weak. Now I will return the favor. Give me the void touched, and I will let you live. Refuse, and I will burn that little estate to glass. Do-hyun pretended to consider. Counter-offer. Leave now, and I won't destroy your entire fleet. Beck laughed. You have 3 ships, Kang. 3 old patrol boats that belong in a museum. I have 40 warships with enough firepower to crack this moon in half. Your threats are empty. Are they? Do-hyun smiled. It was the same smile he had worn before the Battle of Helix 9, right before he had turned an impossible defeat into a legendary victory. You see 40 ships, Do-hyun said. I see 40 targets. He cut the connection. The plan had been Ji-yeon's idea. She was a genius with sensors and communications, able to make machines do things their designers never intended. Over the past 3 days, she had rigged the estate's power grid to broadcast a fake sensor signature. To Bayek's fleet, it now appeared that a full Terran battle group was hiding in Saren's shadow. 20 heavy cruisers, carriers, destroyers, a force that could match Bayek ship for ship. It was a lie. But Bayek did not know that. Admiral, we're detecting enemy ships in the moon's shadow, one of Bayek's officers reported. What? How many? 23 contacts, heavy signatures. Sir, it looks like a battle group. Bayek's face went pale. He had expected easy prey. He had not expected a real fight. Split the fleet, he ordered. Send Group Alpha to engage the enemy formation. Beta Group holds position and maintains bombardment lock on the estate. Exactly what Do-hyun had hoped he would do. 20 ships broke away from the main fleet, moving to engage the phantom enemy. That left 20 above the estate. Still terrible odds, but better than before. Phase 2, Do-hyun said. Nari, it's time. She nodded. Her eyes had gone completely black, like windows into endless space. She walked out onto the balcony, raised her hands, and reached into the void. Do-hyun had seen her practice. He had watched her bend shadows and make small objects disappear. But he had never seen her truly let go. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. It was like watching a star being born. Dark energy rippled out from her body in waves. It passed through walls, through shields, through the empty space between moon and ships, and when it touched Bayek's fleet, everything changed. Navigation systems began to glitch. Ships that had been holding perfect formation started to drift. Targeting computers locked onto each other instead of the estate below. Communication channels filled with static and ghost signals. Nari was not attacking the ships. She was attacking the darkness inside them, the void that existed in every wire, every circuit, every piece of technology. She was making their own machines betray them. "What's happening?" Beck screamed on his bridge. "Why can't we fire?" "Systems are failing, Admiral. Navigation is offline. Weapons are targeting our own ships." "That's impossible." But it was not impossible. It was Nari. Do-hyun launched the strike while the fleet was in chaos. He took his 3 patrol boats straight into the heart of the enemy formation, moving through the drifting ships like a knife through water. His target was the flagship. His target was Bayek. Moon Ki-sok flew the lead ship with the calm skill of a veteran pilot. Bai Junho handled weapons, picking off the few automated defenses that still worked. Do-hyun stood ready at the boarding hatch, pulse rifle in hand. They hit the flagship's hangar bay at full speed, crashing through the emergency shields and skidding across the metal floor. Do-hyun was out before they stopped moving, leading a team of 12 soldiers into the ship. The corridors were chaos. Crew members ran in every direction, trying to figure out why their ship was dying around them. Most surrendered the moment they saw Do-hyun's team. Those who didn't were dealt with quickly. Do-hyun reached the bridge in 7 minutes. The doors were sealed, but Ji-yeon had given him override codes stolen from council databases. The doors opened. Beck stood in the center of his command deck, surrounded by terrified officers. His face was twisted with rage. His perfect plan had become a nightmare. "You," he snarled. How did you do this?" "I had help," Do-hyun said. "From the woman you called cursed, the woman you wanted to turn into a weapon. She's an abomination. She needs to be controlled. She's my wife, and you will never touch her." Beck drew his sidearm. His hand was shaking with fury. "I am an admiral of the Galactic Fleet. You cannot do this to me. I have allies on the council. I have powerful friends." "Your allies are about to find out what you really planned," Do-hyun said calmly. "Collapsing jump gates. Killing billions. That's not warfare, Beck. That's genocide. Even your powerful friends won't protect you from that." "You have no proof." "I have 2 captured assassins who talked before they died. I have communication records Junho pulled from your network. I have everything I need." Beck's face went white, then red. His grip tightened on his weapon. "If I'm going down," he hissed, "I'm taking you with me." He raised the gun. Do-hyun was faster. He always had been. 1 shot, clean, quick. Beck fell. The bridge went silent. Do-hyun lowered his weapon and looked at the remaining officers. "This is over," he said. "Stand down, and you'll face fair trials. Keep fighting, and you'll face me." They surrendered. On the balcony of the Yoon estate, Nari finally let go. The dark energy faded. The stars returned to their normal brightness. She collapsed to her knees, exhausted but alive. Do-hyun's voice came through her communicator. "It's done," he said softly. "He's gone. We won." Nari looked up at the sky. where the enemy fleet drifted helplessly among the stars. For the first time in years, she laughed. The weeks after the battle were filled with chaos. The Galactic Council demanded answers. How had Admiral Bayek assembled a private fleet? Who had funded his conspiracy? How deep did the corruption go? Do-hyun provided everything: the communication records, the assassin testimonies, the detailed plans for gate collapse that Bayek had foolishly kept on his personal servers. The evidence was overwhelming. 17 council members were arrested. 43 military officers were stripped of rank. 3 major corporations faced criminal charges for funding what the media now called the Sarin conspiracy. And through it all, Yoon Nari's name was finally cleared. The galaxy learned the truth about the cursed daughter. She was not a monster. She was not a weapon. She was a woman who had been hunted her entire life by men who wanted to use her power. The suitors who died had been predators. Their deaths were justice, not murder. Public opinion shifted like a tide. Nari went from feared to admired. Requests for interviews flooded the estate. Politicians who had once whispered about containing her now sent flowers and invitations to their parties. Nari ignored all of it. She was tired of the galaxy's attention. She only wanted one thing. "They want to give me a medal," Do-hyun said one morning. He sat across from Nari at breakfast, reading a message on his datapad. "The council, I mean, for stopping back. They're calling it extraordinary service to galactic peace. Will you accept?" "I haven't decided." He set down the datapad. "They also want to give me back my command. Full admiral rank, a brand new flagship, anything I want." Nari's heart sank, though she tried not to show it. Of course he would go back. He was a soldier, a hero. The galaxy needed men like him. "You should accept," she said quietly. "You deserve it." "I turned them down." She looked up sharply. "What?" Do-hyun smiled. It was a soft smile, gentle in a way that still surprised her after all these months. "I told them I have a wife. I told them I spent too many years flying through the void alone. I told them that for once in my life, I found something worth staying for." Nari could not speak. Her throat was tight. "I don't need medals," Do-hyun continued. "I don't need flagships. I don't need the galaxy to remember my name." He reached across the table and took her hand. "I just need you." The tears came before she could stop them. Nari had not cried in years. She had forgotten how it felt. But now the tears fell freely, dropping onto the white tablecloth like rain. "I don't understand," she whispered. "I have brought you nothing but danger. Assassins, battles, a conspiracy that nearly killed us both. Why would you choose this life? Why would you choose me?" "Because you're quiet when everyone else is loud. Because you're strong when everyone else is weak. Because when I look at you, I don't see a curse. I see a woman who survived everything the universe threw at her and kept going." He stood, walked around the table, and knelt beside her chair. "I would have chosen you, Nari. Given any choice in the galaxy, I would have chosen you. Not because I had to, because I wanted to." She pulled him close. They held each other in the morning light, two broken people who had somehow become whole. That evening, they walked together through the estate gardens. The 3 moons of Sarin hung low over the silver ocean. The air smelled of salt and flowers. It was peaceful in a way that neither of them had known for most of their lives. "I received another message today," Nari said, "from my cousin Taewon. He wants forgiveness." Do-hyun's expression hardened. Taewon had betrayed them to Baek. He had sold information about Nari's abilities. He had nearly gotten them both killed. "What did you tell him?" "Nothing yet." Nari paused by the pond where they had first spoken. "Part of me wants to let him suffer. He deserves it." But another part of me is tired of anger, tired of enemies, tired of looking over my shoulder." She turned to face Do-yun. Is it weak to forgive someone who hurt you? No, he said firmly. It's strong. Revenge is easy. Forgiveness takes courage. What would you do? Do-yun thought about it. I would let him rot in prison for a while longer. Then maybe someday I would visit him. Not to forgive, just to show him what he lost, to show him that his betrayal failed, that we're happy despite everything he did. Nari smiled. It was a real smile, something that had become more common since the battle. That sounds almost like revenge. Maybe a little. I never claimed to be perfect. She laughed. The sound echoed across the water, bright and free. They stood together as the moons rose higher. Nari leaned against Do-hyun's shoulder. He wrapped an arm around her waist. They thought they were punishing you, she said softly. The council, when they forced this marriage, they thought they were sending you to a monster. They were idiots. They wanted you to suffer. Instead, they gave me everything I never knew I wanted. He pressed a kiss to her hair. A home, a purpose, a partner who understands what it means to be different. Nari was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question that had been on her mind since the beginning. What is it about humans that makes you this way? What way? You look at the void and see possibility. You look at danger and see adventure. You look at the things everyone else fears and think, that one, that's the one I want. She shook her head. Any other species would have run from me. Any other species would have seen a monster and fled. But you saw something else. Do-yun turned her to face him. The moonlight made her silver hair glow. Her eyes shifted through colors like a galaxy being born. Do you want to know the truth about humans? He asked. Yes. We're stubborn. We're foolish. We rush into danger without thinking. We fall in love with things we don't understand and refuse to let go even when it hurts. He cupped her face in his hands. But that's also what makes us strong. We don't give up. We don't run. We find the impossible and make it possible through sheer refusal to accept defeat. He kissed her forehead. The galaxy called you cursed. Humans call that a challenge. The universe said we couldn't be together. Humans call that an invitation. Nari felt warmth spreading through her chest. You're all insane, she whispered. Probably, he agreed. But that's what makes us human. She kissed him then, long and deep, under the light of 3 moons. The silver ocean stretched to every horizon. The stars watched from above like ancient witnesses. They had been thrown together by politics and punishment. They had survived assassins, conspiracies, and war. They had found love in the strangest of places, between a soldier who never learned to rest and a woman who never learned to hope. But they had found it nonetheless. And that, in the end, was what humans did. They looked at the impossible and made it real. They looked at the darkness and found light. They looked at curses and saw blessings. They found love in the void, and they held on tight.